right, this is a simple game called Frog Jump. It is what we call a side scroller. So, a side scrolling game basically has a moving background that gives the illusion of motion across the screen from side to side. In this game, the player, which is whoever is playing your game, uses the up arrow to make the frog jump. The frog must avoid mushrooms while trying to get flies. Okay. Every fly scores 1 point. Hitting the mushrooms makes the player's health go down. When the player's health hits zero, the game is over. All right, so what you know how to do for the first one is you want to kind of play it a couple of times. So as I'm hitting my up arrow, I can see my frog jumping. And every time I accidentally touch a mushroom, I can see my health going down, right? So I'm not trying to die, but apparently I suck at this. So this is a simple game. All right, it's catch the flies, don't hit the mushrooms, make the frog jump. So we know how to do quite a bit of this, believe it or not. All right, we have user control on the keyboard. Okay, there we go. Game over. Shazam. Okay. So as you go through this, ladies and gentlemen, it is going to give you very specific instructions on each of the bubbles. So the first one says to come on, to draw your background. Now the sample game had a simple background. Uh, you can make your background as simple or as complicated as you want. Do this. Find the code, comment, background. So see right there where it says background, and use the drawing tools to create a background. Run the program to test the background. So bubble 2, you're making your background. On bubble 3, you are going to be setting up your sprites. Remember, the sprites get created up here outside of the draw loop, okay, where it says game setup. And again, it is very important that you read the directions for each one, okay? So you're going to be setting up 3 sprites. One will be for the player, one is the target, the thing that you get points for, and then one is the obstacle, the thing that is going to bring down your health or possibly, kill the player in the game. And then, of course, you can scale each one. You can pick an animation for each one. You want them to place them where you want them to start, either off or on the screen. Set the starting X velocity of the target and of the obstacle, and then test your program. Bubble number 4, ladies and gentlemen. For bubble number 4, we are going to be setting up our player controls. So whatever animation you chose to be your player. So in the sample game, the player was the frog. So whatever you choose, again, down here, you're going to find the jumping tag, and you are going to create using conditional statements. You are going to create controls as to what's going to happen once the player reaches the ground, once you press the up arrow, etc., and so forth. Again, we have done this already. We have done all of this. We're just kind of putting everything we know how to do together in one fairly big program. So it's add a conditional that checks whether you have pressed the up key, add a conditional that uses the sprite's Y property to check if it's gone high enough. Again, read through the directions. On number 5, we are going to create something called looping. Again, this is using a conditional. The obstacle needs to loop back. So remember when they were moving across the screen and then it came back and then it moved across the screen again? So you are going to create a loop using a conditional, checking for the target and the obstacle's X property. Okay? Have it check whether the target has moved off the screen. If it has, put it back on the correct side of the screen. Okay? Sprite interactions. Bubble 6. In the sample game, the obstacle rotated and the health decreased when the player touched it. The score increased and the fly moved back to the right of the screen when the player touched it. These are our sprite interactions, which we just talked about yesterday, the collision interactions. Create a conditional that checks whether or not the player sprite is touching the obstacle sprite. If they're touching, decrease health and change the obstacle sprite in some way. Then you're going to create a second one, a conditional that checks whether or not the player sprite is touching the target sprite. If they are touching, increase your score and move the target back to the right of the screen. Scoring and scoreboard. Bubble 7. Find the comment called scoreboard, read the code that makes the health information display, add code to create a scoreboard, run the program to test your score, and then bubble 8 is just a review. Ladies and gentlemen, again, this is going to be our mini project, which we will be working on for the remainder of the week. Most of you should be able to finish this in a couple of days as long as you've been keeping up with your work. Again, we are working with sprite creation, conditionals, sprite is touching. Like these are all skills that we have been working on pretty much all of Unit 3
I apologize for
to put together
interrupting.
here. All right, are there any issues or questions
Not a question.
that I can address right now?
I got a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, this I know the assignment and code that work we gotta do, but I walked away when you was explaining the Google document.
Oh,
I
that's
think.
okay. I videoed myself and I'm going to be adding this video to the assignment.
Okay, so I just was that an assignment?
Yeah, lesson 20 will be an assignment.
No, no, the one at Google.
Oh, no, 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 no. I just add that so you guys can see what all is expected. Some people prefer to have like written directions. Some people want to see the rubric. And
I
even though
see.
technically, if you go through the lesson and do everything that the instructions tell you, you'll be fine. Some people
Hmm.
like to have that in front of them while they're working. So that I
Okay.
just make that available to people.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Any other issues or questions that I can address before I just give you time to work? Again, this mini project is technically due by Friday. Of course, you will have until next Friday to really turn it in. But this will be the last new introduction for the week as we move closer and closer to the end of the school year. All right, any other issues or questions? Issues or questions going once? Issues or questions going twice? All right, ladies and gentlemen, please use this time to work.